Today I'm going to run a food preservation experiment on chocolate. Now this comes in, it's a fairly standard pack. This is from Lidl, but yeah, it's all the same. It's either aluminiumized or it's mylar plastic. Either way, I can tell you firsthand, this lasts in the ground for decades and comes out like it was just buried yesterday. So it's persistent, it lasts forever. It's going to be in landfill forever. It's really not easily recycled. Yep, not yet recycled. There you go. So they know it can't be. And yet, it's good for 16, 17 months. That's the entire shelf life of this. With materials that last this long, they're that porous that they still can't guarantee that in 2 years that chocolate's still going to be edible. That's shockingly bad. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to take it out of this, which, yeah, that's mylar. Crazy. I'm going to put it into a jar. All sealed in. I'll put it inside this canister. Now this is a standard food saver vacuum sealing set. People do off-grid versions of these using brake bleeding tools that are manually run. I've seen people do them with like hand pumps. There's various instructions for making your own vacuum chambers on YouTube, you know, if you're so inclined. This is just an off-the-shelf version, which is why I'm showing you. So that goes in here. That's this is a food canister they set for doing biscuits and stuff. I just use it for vacuum sealing jars. I've never put biscuits in here yet. I don't need a vacuum seal biscuits, they don't last that long. So that gets connected up. We let it run through a cycle, so we push the button. And that's done. So I'll take the accessory tube off. Little hiss, that's good. Now at the moment, everything inside here is in a vacuum, but as soon as I release the air in, it comes rushing back into the canister, but there's still a vacuum inside the jar, and that pressure differential seals the jar. So you can see this. I actually saw the lid of the jar go down then. So that's released now, so I can take the lid off. Vacuum sealed chocolate. Now from what I've seen and what I've read, that's going to be safe for many years. Chocolate hasn't got the best shelf life, you know, because it's got such a high amount of milk solids. What happens is that tends to turn rancid, and it turns out like you get a white bloom on the surface, and that's what will happen to begin with, but it'll still be perfectly edible. But what I'm interested in is how long will that take to happen, because chocolate doesn't last very long, and it's not just because I tend to eat it. So that is perfectly vacuum sealed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this up. I'm going to skip the first one, but I'm going to write a date on this, today's. I'm going to stick it in the back of the cupboard, and every 6 months I'm going to open it up, I'm going to eat one, see if it's still good, vacuum seal it and put it back in the cupboard, and we'll see how many years this lasts for, considering this is something that we can do. So most people chuck in the bin or recycle, which again takes a huge amount of energy. That's an amazing device, a little jar like that. It's great, with a little lidded top in it as well. That's a very clever technology, and we use them as disposable items. So with just a basic vacuum sealing set and a few jars, you can make that redundant to the point of ridiculousness. You know, something that is effectively toxic waste that's going to be around forever and is completely unnecessary. So what are we still using it for? Anyway, it's going to be a while before we find the results for this experiment, of course. I'm going to post it up on YouTube now, just because then I can't be told further down the line, you've only just posted that was clearly sealed last week. No, it's the same jar, it's the same lot. That's going in the cupboard, and that's that experiment.